In this episode, I share an easy 3-step process on how to connect to your intuition and decipher it from fear or ego. Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, where we are inspiring you to ditch the outdated beliefs, release the blocks, and fully embrace your sovereignty so you can confidently expand to allow more love, joy, and aligned success in your life. I am Niajae, your conscious accountability partner, reminding you that abundance is your birthright. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? In today's episode, we are going to talk about intuition. I think that this is such an important topic and there are so many layers of it, but we're going to do a quick overview and I have a really easy way to help you start to tap into the difference in your intuition and your ego and fear. So, what exactly is intuition? If you look up the official definition, it says a thing that one knows or considers likely from instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. Now, I have to be really honest with you, M&Ms. I'm not crazy about this definition because conscious reasoning, to me, instinctive feeling is kind of the same thing as conscious reasoning, because what is consciousness? Consciousness is pure truth. So you're getting to your pure truth that's not covered in fear or ego. So I'm not crazy about this definition, and I'm sure that they're using it in a different way, semantics. So I did a little more research and I'm like, okay, I need to find a definition that resonates better with me. So I found a Forbes article that says intuition is the ability to know something without analytical reasoning, bridging the gap between consciousness and the non-conscious parts of our mind. I'm like, thank you, Forbes. I really like this one because this is more specific of analytical versus intuition and intuitive knowing, or that instinct or your gut feeling. So there's a lot of times in life where our analytical mind is saying one thing and our intuition is saying something different. I'm sure we've all had these experiences. I feel like they happen almost every day. If you really start to pay attention to it, you know, your GPS says go this way, but your intuition is telling you to go a different way. So when that happens, do you trust your intuition or do you listen to the GPS? Good question, right? And there is no right or wrong way. So really start to pay attention where logic is telling you to do one thing and your intuition or that gut feeling is telling you to do something different. And we see it all the time on TV. If you've ever watched Scandal, you have like Olivia Pope and her gut says, and even if it came across as something like her whole team thought she was crazy, she always had to follow her gut. So we're going to get back to that in a moment. So if I had to define in my own words what intuition is, I would say the voice of your higher self. But I actually want to shift higher self because I feel like we're in a very vulnerable time where a lot of people are storing shame in their body, especially with social media and looking at other people's lives and relationships and businesses. So rather than saying higher self, I want to say your true self. So higher self doesn't indicate that the person you are today or where you are today is less than, because I believe that where we are and who we are today in this time, space, and reality is part of our unique journey. And it is a journey to learn the lessons and grow and expand. So my definition of intuition is the voice of your true self without the layers of fear, lack, ego, and programming. So when you peel all those layers back, the voice of your true self, what you know is for your greatest good. And logic, a lot of times, is programming. It's programming. It's us being taught as young children not to trust ourselves. So when you think about like, okay, why don't people follow their intuition? It's because we're taught at a young age not to. When children want to run, their parents say, don't run or you'll get hurt. So that sends a message to us subconsciously that if I follow my intuition, I'm going to get hurt. When we want to follow our dreams and be a singer or a football player or an artist, our parents say, no, get a stable job, go to school and be a lawyer or doctor. So then that sends us the message subconsciously that if we follow our intuition and our dreams, our intuition is going to lead us to failure or be broke or struggle. So we're taught at a young age not to listen to that little voice inside that's telling us to do things, because it's going to lead to pain, struggle, hurt, lack, all the things that we don't want. And so we tend to, as adults, live our life that way, avoiding the pain, the hurt, the struggle, and the lack. So it almost teaches us survival rather than living and thriving. Your intuition is leading you to live and thrive, and logic is making you play it safe to avoid pain. Woo! All right, let me stay on track with my notes. You guys know when I get worked up, look, I feel it in my body. So how are we supposed to trust our intuition if we've literally been programmed to believe that our intuition is bad? Right? Oh my goodness. Okay. So as adults, we start doing inner work and self-development and healing, and we connect back to our intuition. But then the problem comes up is deciphering between what's intuition and what's fear. So let's take an example. You have this amazing new opportunity, and something says, don't do it. So is this your intuition saying, don't do it because this is not the right opportunity for you? Or is this fear kicking in because it's unknown and we have upper limits and we have, sabotaging thoughts and limiting beliefs, and like all the fear starts to creep in because the unknown is scary. So is this a defense mechanism trying to protect you? Is this ego trying to protect you? And all the different thoughts can start creeping up in your head as to why this opportunity isn't right or it's too good to be true. So this is how our brains work. So we're being drawn further and further away from our intuition, especially if you've tried something and it didn't work out and it led to disappointment or pain. So if that was the case, then you really stop trusting your intuition. Here's the thing most people won't tell you. Sometimes our intuition leads us to situations or circumstances that don't work out, that may cause us disappointment, that may cause us pain. And I know our humanness will be like, well, I can't trust myself anymore. And you'll start to look for external validation. But the reality is, those circumstances or situations that didn't work out was either meant to teach you something, you were meant to gain wisdom from it, or strength and resilience, or it was a redirection placing you where you're actually meant to be. So even though it caused pain or disappointment, there was a lesson or redirection in it. Pain is a catalyst for alchemy. We just have to choose the perspective of growth. Woo! Let me say that again. Pain is a catalyst for alchemy. We just have to choose the perspective of growth. We have to choose to see the world through a lens of growth and wisdom and transformation, and it will alchemize any pain or disappointment that we experience and turn it into a lesson, turn it into resilience, turn it into courage, and get wiser, stronger, and expand. So when we choose to see the world from that perspective versus a victim perspective, then every experience is an opportunity for growth. Okay. So let's get into the 3 steps. So how exactly do you start to check into your intuition? So number 1 is identify how your intuition communicates to you. So if you haven't seen the 8 clear abilities, the episode where I break down the different clear abilities. So the one that everyone is most familiar with is clairvoyance. So I believe that we have access to all 8 of these when we activate them. So everyone has a clair ability. It's just identifying it, activating it, or really listening to it, retraining yourself to listen to it. So when your intuition is communicating to you, do you feel it? Do you hear it? Do you sense it? Do you just know it? So everyone has a different way that their intuition communicates to them. So getting really clear on how it communicates to you. So start to pay attention, and you could ask yourself questions and then just really observe how the answer comes to you. Does it come to you as like a word? You're hearing a word in your brain? Do you feel something? So when you hear something that you know to be true, do you get like chills? Do you get little hairs that stand up on your arms? Do you feel a heat sensation come over your body? So when you ask yourself a question, does the answer just like magically appear in your head because you just know it to be true? You just know this is the truth. So really start paying attention to how your intuition is communicating to you. Number 2 is ask yourself, and this is for the logical, analytical people. Me. I'm super in my head. So I'm super intuitive and I'm super in my head. Who else? Because I'm literally like the combination of the two, and like my intuition and my logic are always at war. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. But for my logical people and analytical people, ask yourself, is this coming from a place of fear? Is this coming from a place of urgency? Is this coming from a place of ego? So our ego was designed to protect us, protect our inner child. So if you were told something at a young age that like this is going to hurt you or this is not good for you, then as adults, we tend to our ego kicks in when whatever programming is challenged. So anytime like programming is challenged, that's mostly when our ego flares up. So is this coming from a place of judgment? Is this coming from a place of criticism? Especially if you had really critical parents, sometimes our inner dialogue can be super critical. So really asking yourself these questions: is it coming from a place of fear? Is it coming from a place of urgency? Is it coming from a place of ego? Is it coming from a place of judgment? Is it coming from a place of criticism? And then the third step is to check into your body for an answer. Our body does not lie. So definitely with sound healing, it's really helped me get back into my body, pay attention to the sensations and the feelings. So if you're someone who doesn't meditate or do yoga or sound healing on a regular basis, you can simply put your hand on your heart, ask the question, and then really pay attention to the very first thing that comes up. The very first thing that comes up. So you can ask a question, and you could actually do this with something that you already know to be true. You already know the answer to. So say something that, you know, is Niajae the host of Abundance Hack, and like that's a silly one, but it was the first thing that came to my mind. So use whatever you want, but ask yourself something that you know to be true, and really just pay attention. And depending upon how your intuition communicates, you may hear something, you may feel something, you may sense something. It's going to be different for everyone, but really check in and pay attention to the first thing that comes up. And when you start to do this in life, it's really important that you pay attention to the very first thing that comes up, because what happens if you don't like the answer, we start to rationalize and we start to question if it's true. I do this all the time. I ask a question. If I don't like the answer, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Maybe my intuition's not working today. Something's off. So really pay attention. And there's so many situations where I'm like, this makes logical sense, but something inside of me was telling me no. But I'm like, but it makes such logical sense. And something inside of me was telling me no. And I did it anyway because it made logical sense. And then it fell apart. And I'm like, but I knew it. And I just didn't listen because I'm stubborn. So don't be stubborn. Learn to really listen the first time, because sometimes you save yourself a lot of heartache. Like, life doesn't have to be hard, you know? I think that I was actually telling a friend this today. I was raised by a single mom from the hood. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I'm from Bronx, New York, guys. So like, I was raised in a hood and I saw a lot of struggle. I saw a lot of struggle, but life doesn't have to be hard. We can learn to adapt new programming. We can release the outdated programming, because I was definitely raised to believe that life is hard, survival of the fittest. But we have to get out of that survival mindset and adapt a thriving mindset. I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. And I want you all to thrive, which is why I have this podcast. So really start paying attention to what's coming up that is coming from a place of lack or fear. So the voice of our true self doesn't align with human fear or urge. So when you have an urge, if there's a sense of urgency, it's usually coming from a place of lack or need, which doesn't align with the voice of our true self. We live in a society of FOMO, and there's a lot of people that feel very overwhelmed because they feel like there's a sense of urgency to do all of the things. So that's coming from a place of lack or need, when we are abundant beings. Abundance is our birthright. So getting out of the survival mindset and really stepping into our sovereignty. The voice of our true self aligns with oneness, love, self-love, and inspiration. So self-love is so important, because I think that one of the main things that we ignore our intuition on is relationships and love. There are so many times where I feel like our intuition is like, nope, this isn't serving you. And we stay in relationships, we stay in friendships, we stay in partnerships, we stay in situations because we don't want to be alone, which comes from a place of lack. And our intuition is telling us this is not serving you. So when you really focus on self-love, then you start to choose yourself over the convenience of a relationship or friendship or business partnership, and really step into your sovereignty and know that the universe, source, God, whatever word you choose, is going to place you in a situation for your greatest good when you start to listen to your intuition. So really quick recap. Let me recap, because I feel like I said a lot. So basically, the 3 steps is identify how your intuition communicates with you. Then ask yourself, is this coming from a place of fear, urgency, ego, judgment, or criticism? And then check into your body for the answer. And you can do this with anything. You can do this anywhere. However, the more calm you are, the more accurate the answer is going to be. If you are in a state of panic, fear, worry, the answer is not going to come to you then. So you have to calm yourself. And however you calm yourself, like, that depends on where you are. I believe in intuitive self-care. So if you are just in a place of like super in your head, maybe you need to take a nap. Maybe you need to meditate. Maybe you need to book a sound healing session with me. Maybe you need to go out in nature and take a walk. If you are frustrated and angry and your blood is boiling, maybe you need to exercise and move your body and move through it. And then when you find yourself in a place of neutrality, then check in. That's really, really important. I hope you found value in this, M&Ms. I'm actually about to launch a group program because I have been so deep into this with all the sound healing work that I'm doing, helping people get back into their body, connect to their intuition, and really identify where programming is not serving them and blocking the abundance in their life. So this group program is called Heal with Sound, a self-mastery program by Niajae. Mwah. And it's all about tapping into your intuition. It's going to be a 12-week program where we are going to go through all of the clear abilities, how your intuition speaks to you, how you can strengthen your intuition. There'll be guided meditations, journal exercises, like all the things. And if you are a sound practitioner or coach, the program will actually be 15 weeks because I added a few extra weeks so you can take this material and use it in your own practice. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I think that this is needed. We are being taken away from our intuition and programmed by the media, by social media, by society, and we're losing connection to ourselves. So I know that I have a certain amount of reach. I have a pretty good reach, but I know that if someone else takes this material and incorporates it into their sound healing practice or their coaching practice, that more people will have this knowledge and we can really start to thrive. And that's what I want to see, as many people thriving as possible. So you can sign up for this program just as a client to go through the healing process and really tap into self-mastery and step into your sovereignty and divine energy. And if you are a practitioner, not only will you go through this process yourself, but you'll also be able to walk away with all of the worksheets that you can customize, the meditation scripts, and everything that you can customize for your own practice. It's going to be amazing. So if you want more information about that and early bird pricing, definitely reach out to me so you can get on the list for the early bird pricing. All right, M&Ms, I hope you found value in this. If you know someone that needs to hear this message, please share this podcast episode with them. If you want to share your feedback with me, you can send me a message on Instagram at Niajae. That's Niajae. I always love hearing your feedback. I love to hear your takeaways. So definitely reach out to me on Instagram and share your little golden nugget from this episode. All right, until next time, be decadent. Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.